The Young and the Restless Spoilers The Unraveling of Deceit, Traci's journey from betrayal to vengeance in Genoa. In the labyrinthine corridors of Genoa, where secrets festered beneath a veneer of refined civility, fate had once again conspired to rewrite the destiny of Traci. For years, she had played the intricate game of love and deception, her heart vulnerable to the merciless tides of betrayal. Yet, nothing could have prepared her for the final, shattering revelation that would leave her world in ruins. It began slowly, a series of subtle clues and hushed whispers that led her to the ultimate discovery. Traci, once a woman of unwavering trust and innocence, found herself entangled in a web of secrets spun by those she had loved and trusted. In a single, devastating moment, she learned that every hidden truth was waiting to be unveiled. The man she had once adored, Alan, whom she had believed to be the genuine article, was nothing but a cunning impostor. The real architect behind the masquerade was none other than Martin, a figure who had long operated in the shadows, orchestrating schemes with a cold, calculating precision. Traci's heart was shattered, not only by the duplicity of Alan's deceit but by the painful realization that the man she had loved and lost was merely a pawn in Martin's elaborate game. How could fate be so cruel? Why did destiny seem determined to deliver her nothing but heartbreak after heartbreak? With each painful memory of failed romance, Traci's soul cried out in anguish. Yet, amid the ruins of her shattered heart, a fierce determination began to grow, a resolve to reclaim her life by exacting the ultimate revenge on Martin, the man responsible for her torment. Martin's identity was as enigmatic as it was sinister. Although he had evaded the grasp of justice time and again, his presence loomed large over Genoa. His ability to manipulate situations and remain one step ahead of those who sought to expose him had earned him a reputation as a master schemer. Unbeknownst to the citizens of Genoa, he was not content with merely orchestrating deceit, his ambitions extended to further acts of malevolence. Martin was in the midst of a nefarious plan that would enable him to target yet another unsuspecting victim, a plot that he believed would cement his legacy as an unrepentant villain. His reluctance to leave Genoa was not out of attachment to the city but rather a calculated decision to continue his dark machinations in the very heart of a community that prided itself on its resilience and cleverness. As word of his betrayal and hidden agenda spread, it became clear that the inhabitants of Genoa were no ordinary bystanders. Their intellect and resourcefulness had once again exposed the intricate layers of Martin's schemes. Each revelation was like a strike against his carefully constructed facade, leaving him increasingly exposed and vulnerable. The city, which had long served as his playground, now became the arena for a final showdown, a confrontation that would decide the fate of many lives, including that of his own. Traci's transformation from a broken-hearted lover to a vengeful warrior was as inevitable as it was dramatic. In the solitude of her grief, she had spent countless nights contemplating the mysteries of fate and the bitter irony of love's betrayal. Every tear shed, every sleepless night, had fortified her resolve. No longer was she willing to allow the hand of destiny to dictate the terms of her existence. She would confront Martin directly, armed not only with the truth of his misdeeds but with a weapon forged by her own indomitable will, a loaded gun that symbolized her determination to reclaim her life and justice. The confrontation was as unexpected as it was inevitable. In a dimly lit alleyway that echoed with the distant hum of a restless city, Traci faced Martin. The air was heavy with tension and unspoken accusations. Martin, who had always relished the power of manipulation, now found himself staring into the eyes of a woman whose pain had transformed into a burning desire for retribution. The confrontation was not merely a clash of individuals but a collision of ideologies, Martin's nihilistic view of power and control against Traci's newly found belief in justice and the sanctity of truth. Their exchange was terse and laden with the weight of their shared history. Martin attempted to justify his actions with a cold, detached logic, insisting that his plans were merely a means to an end. But Traci, her voice trembling with both fury and sorrow, recounted the moments when she had been deceived and heartbroken. She questioned him relentlessly. How could he kill Alan, the man who had once been the symbol of a love that was all too real, even if it had been based on a lie? How could he forsake the opportunity to mend what had been broken, instead choosing to deepen the wound? Martin's anger was palpable as he realized that his intricate plans had been disrupted by forces he had underestimated. Genoa's people, with their sharp minds and relentless pursuit of truth, had not only uncovered his secrets but had rallied in unison against him. The city, once a silent spectator to his schemes, now roared with the collective determination of its citizens. Yet, amid the chaos of exposure and impending downfall, Martin could not fathom that his end would be met not in a grand act of defiance but at the hands of a woman he had once dismissed as fragile. In that fateful moment, as the tension reached its zenith, Traci's hand tightened around the grip of the gun. The weight of her emotions, every betrayal, every loss, every whispered promise of a better future, coalesced into a single, irrevocable act. With a cold precision that belied the storm raging within her, she pulled the trigger. The echo of the shot reverberated through the narrow alley, a sound that marked the end of Martin's reign of terror and the beginning of a new chapter in Traci's life. Martin's body crumpled to the ground, his final breath a bitter reminder of the consequences of deceit and betrayal. In that silence that followed, Traci felt a complex cocktail of emotions, a fleeting moment of triumph mingled with the lingering pain of a love that had turned sour. She knew that even as she had avenged her own heart, the scars of the past would remain etched in her soul. Yet, in that act of defiance, she had reclaimed a piece of herself that had long been lost. The denouement of this tragic saga resonated far beyond the confines of that dark alley. In Genoa, a city that had witnessed the rise and fall of many a scheme, the story of Traci and Martin became a cautionary tale, a narrative that underscored the perils of deceit and the transformative power of unyielding resolve. It was a story that reminded everyone that sometimes, when the fabric of trust is torn apart, only the flames of vengeance can kindle the hope of renewal. As the news of Martin's demise spread through the city, whispers of both relief and sorrow filled the air. Some saw it as the long-awaited end of a reign marked by manipulation and betrayal, while others mourned the tragic downfall of a man who, in his own twisted way, had played a part in a larger drama that was as inevitable as it was complex. For Traci, the path forward was uncertain. The future held no promises of healing or redemption, only the harsh reality of life without the man who had once dictated her fate. In the aftermath of that fateful night, Genoa began to change. The citizens, emboldened by the unmasking of Martin's true nature, vowed never again to allow the darkness of deception to reign unchecked. Traci, though burdened by her past and the heavy cost of her vengeance, emerged as a symbol of resilience, a reminder that even in a world rife with betrayal, one's will to seek justice can ultimately triumph over the forces of darkness. Thus, the story of Traci and Martin stands as a poignant reminder of the delicate balance between love and hate, trust and treachery. In the heart of Genoa, where every secret eventually finds the light, Traci's journey from heartbreak to heroic retribution has etched itself into the annals of the city's history, a legacy of unyielding determination, the unbreakable spirit of a woman scorned, and the timeless quest for truth in a world where nothing is ever as it seems. In the dark corridors of Genoa's underbelly, where betrayal and deceit were as common as the morning fog, Traci emerged not as the delicate, demure woman that many assumed her to be, but as a formidable force of nature. A woman of unyielding determination and fierce passion, she was known for her decisive nature, a stark contrast to the soft, gentle persona that others might have expected. Traci's love for Alan was as deep as it was consuming. She had given her heart completely, and when that love was threatened by those who dared to harm the man she cherished, she transformed her sorrow into a blazing call for vengeance. For years, Traci had navigated the treacherous waters of Genoa's high-stakes drama with grace and resolve, never once allowing herself to be a passive bystander. However, fate had conspired against her in ways too cruel to ignore. It was in the midst of an intricate web of lies and manipulation that the full extent of the hidden deceptions came crashing down upon her. In a series of events that would forever alter the course of her life, Traci discovered that the man she had believed to be her beloved Alan was nothing more than a carefully constructed facade, a mask worn by an impostor. The true culprit behind the betrayal, the architect of her shattered world, was Martin, whose sinister machinations had not only stolen her love but had endangered the very life of the man she held dear. Martin, a master manipulator with a notorious reputation, had long evaded justice through his cunning and the elaborate layers of his deceit. He had orchestrated a plan so deep-rooted in treachery that even the most vigilant citizens of Genoa found themselves entangled in his web. His confidence was unshaken until the day Traci's eyes were opened to the bitter truth. As the realization dawned upon her, Traci's grief swiftly transformed into an unquenchable fire of retribution. The discovery of Martin's involvement sent shockwaves through her soul, a shock that jolted her into action and forced her to confront the darkness that had invaded her life. Her love for Alan was a force that propelled her forward, giving her the strength to rise above the despair and pain of betrayal. When it was revealed that not only had Martin deceived her, but he had also been responsible for the harm inflicted upon Alan, Traci had no choice but to retaliate with an iron fist. In her eyes, forgiveness was a luxury she could no longer afford. Her heart had been scarred too deeply by the betrayals of the past. With every beat of her resilient heart, she swore that those responsible would pay dearly for their treachery. The climactic confrontation between Traci and Martin was a scene etched in the annals of Genoa's tumultuous history, a moment that encapsulated the relentless spirit of a woman scorned. Martin, ever the calculating villain, was unprepared for the fearsome presence that Traci embodied. Gone was the image of a gentle soul. In her stead stood a warrior whose resolve was as unyielding as the walls of Genoa itself. As she faced Martin, her expression hardened into a visage of sheer determination and raw, unadulterated fury. It was a look that sent shivers down the spine of the man who had orchestrated so much suffering. In that charged moment, Martin's eyes widened in terror as he beheld the transformation of Traci. No longer was she the woman who had silently endured heartbreak, she was a force of vengeance incarnate. His panic was palpable. He knew that the tables had turned, and the price of his betrayal was about to be exacted. With a cold, steady hand, Traci prepared her weapon, a gun that had become an extension of her unyielding will to reclaim her life and honor. Every inch of her being radiated resolve as she advanced toward Martin, her gaze never faltering. The ensuing shootout was as unpredictable as it was dramatic. The first bullet, a symbol of the initial surge of her wrath, missed its mark entirely, slicing through the tense air and allowing Martin a momentary escape. It was a brief lapse, a fleeting second in which fate granted him reprieve. But Traci was undeterred. She would not allow her enemy to slip away into the shadows once again. In a heartbeat, she recalibrated her aim, her inner resolve shining through as the second bullet found its target. It struck Martin with a force that resonated deeply, a visceral punctuation to the long string of betrayals that had led them both to this fateful encounter. Yet, as Martin staggered under the impact, a lingering question hung in the air: did the second bullet seal his fate? The shock of the hit left him teetering on the brink between life and death, his eyes reflecting both pain and disbelief. In that charged moment, the boundaries between justice and vengeance blurred, leaving Genoa to wonder whether Martin would indeed meet his final demise or simply vanish into the labyrinth of his own making, forever haunted by the specter of Traci's relentless fury. For Traci, the act of firing those shots was not merely an act of revenge. It was a declaration of independence from a past steeped in sorrow and betrayal. Every decision, every calculated move, was a testament to her transformation, from a woman in love to a vengeful avenger determined to carve out her own destiny. In the immediate aftermath, as Martin's body slumped to the ground, the air was filled with a heavy silence, a silence that bore the weight of 1,000 unspoken regrets and the bitter taste of retribution. The people of Genoa, whose lives had been inextricably linked to the machinations of Martin's schemes, watched with bated breath as the drama unfolded. Many had grown accustomed to the undercurrents of betrayal and intrigue that coursed through their city, yet none could have anticipated the raw, unfiltered wrath of Traci. Her actions resonated deeply with those who had long suffered under the tyranny of deceit. It was as if her defiance had sparked a rebellion, a rallying cry for justice that echoed in every corner of the city. As rumors of Martin's survival or demise spread through the streets, Genoa found itself at a crossroads. Was this the final chapter in the saga of treachery, or merely an interlude before a new chapter of conflict emerged? The uncertainty was palpable. Some believed that the bullet's impact would prove fatal, ending Martin's reign of terror once and for all. Others speculated that his cunning might yet allow him to elude death, to retreat into the shadows and regroup for another day of calculated chaos. For Traci, however, the outcome mattered little. Her journey had never been about the vindication of her actions, but rather the reclamation of her soul from the clutches of deceit. The decision to confront Martin, to risk everything for the sake of love and honor, was a testament to the unyielding spirit that had defined her from the very beginning. In her heart, there was no room for compromise or mercy, only the burning desire to set things right, no matter the cost. The story of Traci's vengeful crusade quickly became a legend in Genoa. Her transformation from a woman enveloped in sorrow to a formidable avenger was a narrative that resonated far beyond the immediate confines of her personal tragedy. It was a story of courage in the face of overwhelming betrayal, a reminder that even the gentlest hearts can conceal the might of a warrior when pushed to the brink. In the days that followed the fateful encounter, the city of Genoa buzzed with whispers of revolution and change. Citizens who had once felt powerless in the wake of Martin's manipulations began to find their voices. They, too, were inspired by Traci's fierce stand against the corruption that had long plagued their community. Her actions had not only avenged her own lost love but had ignited a spark of defiance among the people, a spark that promised to illuminate the darkest corners of their troubled city. Even as the debate raged over whether Martin would succumb to his injuries or simply vanish into the annals of unsolved mysteries, one fact remained undeniable: Traci had forever altered the landscape of Genoa. Her decisive nature, once hidden behind the veneer of conventional expectations, had now become the symbol of a revolution where love, honor, and justice were reclaimed from the clutches of treachery. The ultimate fate of Martin, still shrouded in mystery, served as a constant reminder of the fragile line between life and death in a world ruled by deceit. The echo of that second, fateful bullet was not merely the sound of a vendetta fulfilled, it was the resonant note of a new era. Whether Martin's survival would lead to further chaos or mark the final end of his reign was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the power dynamics in Genoa had irrevocably shifted. For Traci, the journey ahead was fraught with both peril and possibility. The scars of her past would forever serve as a reminder of the price of betrayal, yet they also forged within her a strength that was as enduring as the city itself. In the heart of Genoa, where every whispered secret and every hidden agenda eventually surfaced, Traci's saga of love, loss, and relentless vengeance would continue to inspire and warn those who dared to dance with the shadows. Thus, in a city where nothing was ever as it seemed, Traci's story stands as a powerful testament to the indomitable spirit of a woman who refused to be defined by her pain. Her legacy, marked by the thunderous report of a gunshot and the chilling realization that true love demands a price, would forever echo in the streets of Genoa, a timeless reminder that in the battle between betrayal and redemption, only the strongest will prevail.